Okay, so let's talk about hostess coaching. I think that this is hands down the most important thing that you will do as a consultant, and it's the key to your success in this business. First of all, you need to know that it is your job as the consultant to create the Facebook event for your hostess, to provide all of the posts and content on that event. And it is her job to get her friends to come to the party, encourage her friends to participate throughout the party, and to follow up with her friends. You also need to understand that that may or may not come naturally to your hostess. 9 times out of 10, it doesn't come that naturally to them, and you have to do a lot of coaching to get them to where they need to be. The first thing that you need to coach your hostesses on is inviting. If you don't do this, your hostesses are probably going to spam invite all of their friends, meaning they're going to go into that Facebook event and they're just going to invite everybody. And honestly, that never works. People just don't check their Facebook invites and actually RSVP that they're going to them unless they have some sort of reason to do so. That's why it is so incredibly important that you get your hostesses to agree to send personal, individual messages to their friends, telling them about Usborne, telling them about the party, and asking them if they want an invitation. It's also important that your hostesses send a follow-up message once they invite them to the event, letting them know that the invitation has been sent, where they can find it, and reminding them to RSVP so that they can be entered into the prize. I am going to include a hostess coaching timeline/checklist in the comments of this post so that you can see how I kind of do that with the hostess, how I lay it out, how I send them an email with inviting instructions, but I also send them some personal messages letting them know that I've done that. I just always like to make sure that I keep a string of communication going with my hostess. I never just send one long email with instructions and let it be. I always try to keep the conversation going so that if they have any concerns or questions, I'm there and I can kind of coach them along. I think that that conversation that you keep going is super key to being successful. One other tip when it comes to inviting is to make your own little inviting video, just something really short that you can include in your personal messages with your hostess, just letting her know how we do it. And so I will link my video in the comments of this post so that you can see mine. And if it's something that you are comfortable with, then I highly encourage you to try that out. Make your own video so that you can send that to your hostesses. You're also welcome to use mine if that's not something that you feel particularly comfortable doing. One other tip that is really successful for me in making sure that my hostesses do not spam invite is I send them a message right at the beginning and I tell them, this is how we do our inviting with Usborne. This is how we found it to be successful. We found that parties that don't do it this way are not very successful. Are you okay inviting that way? And I actually wait for them to say, yes, I am, before adding them as a host to the event and giving them further inviting instructions. And I have found that to be very effective. Once again, wording for this and all of that will be in the hostess coaching timeline/checklist that I will be posting in the comments. The other thing that you're going to want to do with your hostess is set several goals along the way. The first goal that I like to give them is an RSVP goal. I like to tell them this about 2 or 3 days before their party. I actually have a little video that I use to tell them about it, but you don't have to do that. You can just do it with, Facebook Messenger or whatever, something conversational. And I let them know that if they can get at least 25 people to RSVP yes to the party, I'll give them a free book. And you can actually make that a higher goal if you want, if you see that it's already going really well. Then I actually give them some tips to make this happen. So I tell them, go back through your friend list. You will be surprised how many more people you can invite. This is a really good time for me to introduce the conversation about the fact that this is kind of a numbers game and the rule of halves. If you send 200 messages, maybe only half the people will reply to you. Out of the people that reply, maybe only half of them will want an invite. Out of the people you invite, maybe only half of them will RSVP. so on and so forth. You can kind of see. So I just let them know that you have to send hundreds of messages to really have a great turnout. And I let them know that, just use copy and paste. So it'll go quickly and you will be glad that you did. So my RSVP goal is one of the first goals that I set. Another goal that I like to set is a roll call participation goal. So I tell them, if you can get at least X number of people to show up to a roll call and participate throughout the party, I'll throw in another free book. And I always make sure that this goal is appropriate for how many RSVPs they have. So if they have 30 RSVPs, then I'm going to make that, roll call and participation goal something like 15. If they only have 20 RSVPs, I might make it 12. I just kind of tailor it to them and their situation. Another goal that can be very helpful is to set a goal for the pre-party posts, specifically the one that talks about how old is your reader. And you can tell your hostess, hey, if you can get all of your friends to comment on that post, like set a number, if you can get 12 of your friends to comment on that post, I'll throw in another free book. This is a really great way to get people excited about the party, and then you can do book recommendations. We'll talk about that in one of the other posts on this training, but that gets a lot of excitement for the party kind of going. So that's a really great goal to set. Now, as far as all of these free books that you're throwing at your hostesses, you can use some of the discount code options in back office to offer those to your hostesses at a very discounted rate to you. And we'll talk about that later on in the training when we teach you how to close out parties. One other thing that is really important when it comes to hostess coaching is making sure that your hostesses are really present for that kind of beginning of the party. They really need to be there and see who's showing up to roll call and maybe kind of track down some friends who are missing. I like to encourage my hostesses to send out reminder messages and texts and things like that to really make sure their friends actually show up. And this kind of goes right along with that roll call participation goal. I actually send out a day of party email that outlines some things that they can do to remind their friends about the party, and that is in that, once again, that hostess coaching checklist that I've referred to a lot in this video. And finally, it's really important that your hosts follow up. I like to tell my hosts, I get most of my orders on the second day. And that's important because if they only got a few orders on the first day, you don't want them getting discouraged and just giving up. You want to let them know that that is totally normal and that the fortune is in the follow-up. I always tell my hostesses that. I send them an email with some really simple follow-up tips, once again, linked in the post in the comments. And I find that if they follow through with this and they really do their follow-ups, that it's going to go really well for them. So these are just some brief ideas for helping you with hostess coaching. I really encourage you to put a lot of your focus and energy on this. Definitely don't wait until the day of the party to check in and see how things are going. If you set up the party a week out, check in every day. Make sure that they've sent their invitations. Make sure that they haven't spam invited. Make sure that the RSVP numbers are climbing up. Start setting goals with them. If you can kind of follow along with them and help troubleshoot as you go, you will find that your business is so much more successful. So thank you guys for watching this quick little video on hostess coaching, and I encourage you to continue to work out what the best method is for you to make sure that your hostesses are having successful parties.